I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of people who really care too much about this series because the franchise, for the most part, has been irrelevant since like the 80s, early 90s. But we're still getting Double Dragon games. And even though the Double Dragon series is a household name, um, it's something that only appeals to a niche audience of gamers for the most part. And and the proof of that would be like the last few games that came out within the past couple of years. And you look at like the Double Dragon franchise, okay? It's been a beat 'em up since like 1987. It's still a beat 'em up game, or it's still a beat 'em up franchise. It's been released on various platforms over the past like 3 decades or whatever. And you look at all the publishers they've had. You had Technos Japan, you had SNK, you had Tato, you had Atlas, and now you got Arc System Works. And I believe we're supposed to be getting a new Double Dragon game or like a reboot of some sort next year. And it's going to be done by Arc System Works. And the crazy thing about it is, Arc System Works is the one that did Dragon Ball Fighters, which came out back in 2018. And for the most part, um, like Double Dragon, I feel has like the last two games that came out were very arcade like, and it paid homage to the like the old school pixel type of video games that were popular in the 80s and the 90s. It was like those games more modernized, and I'm not exactly sure if that's what we're going to get in this next entry. But I've been reading rumors that this next installment that's supposed to come out in 2025 is supposed to be a 3D entry, and I'm not exactly sure whether or not that's going to help draw any interest or intrigue or anything like that, because it seems like the franchise just hasn't been as popular as it once was. And to this day, I have no idea why Arc System Works doesn't just do like modern day remakes of the old games or what have you, because I think we got like a Double Dragon 4 back in like 2017, and it was something that it's something that kind of just flew under the radar during that time period. Something that didn't get talked about as much as people thought it would. And then we actually had gotten a Double Dragon game this past year. I believe it was Rise of the Dragons. And the reason why that game didn't get like hardly any mainstream attention is because 2023 was a jam packed year in relation to high profile video game releases. Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4. There was just so many like titles that came out that year for the most part, to a point where Double Dragon, Gaiden, Rise of the Dragons, it wouldn't have shined in 2023. If that game came out this year, it'd probably be a bigger deal. And 2025, I feel like, is a year that there's probably going to be more high profile releases next year than there's been this year. And the reason I say that is because you look at one of the games that's supposed to be coming out next year. We got GTA 6, and even though it looks like it's going to be woke, I'm still expecting the game to do a ridiculous number in terms of sales. Also, Metroid Prime 4 is finally supposed to be coming out next year as well. And I'm pretty sure that's something that's going to overshadow, Double Dragon, because um, Metroid Prime 4 is like 17 years in the making, and it's a game that we thought we'd never see. And then we're supposed to be getting another Fable game in 2025 as well. So we got some high profile releases next year. And hopefully that's something that's not going to take too much shine off of the Double Dragon reboot. But the thing is, I don't know, like, is Double Dragon still an attraction in this day and age? I mean, I feel like it's something that, like, I never seen like Double Dragon like trend on like Twitter or social media or anything like that. The news regarding the Double Dragon reboot is something I kind of had to like dig and search on, because it's something that people really don't talk about too much for the most part. It's something that casuals, like, they may have heard of it, but it's like they're not too familiar with the series in depth. And I think as far as like the Double Dragon series is concerned, I think we only got like one major live action like film adaptation like back in around like the mid 90s or something. It was like in 93, 94 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason why Double Dragon is not as popular as um as it should be is because, like, nothing has really changed in terms of like the video games other than the look, the graphics, and certain features. There hasn't been any like major overhaul to the series or anything like that. And on top of that, we haven't gotten too many like film adaptations, or we haven't really gotten an anime series for Double Dragon, and stuff like that would help. Get like back in the day, it would help get video games to another level in terms of popularity. Just look at the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Sonic the Hedgehog started off as a game, and granted, the very first Sonic game made a ton of money for Sega. I feel like the animated series, the first one and the Saturday AM one, basically took Sonic to another level. By the end of the decade, he was very popular on Dreamcast, and his popularity just continued to increase over time. But yeah, for the most part, Double Dragon has had like a variety of different publishers, and the original publisher for the original Double Dragon games is no longer publishing or making the games, and maybe that could have something to do with the fact as to why like the games are not as popular as it used to be, or just maybe it's because the landscape of gaming has changed, and the beat 'em up genre is not as popular as it used to be. But I do feel that, Double Dragon, like a reboot of Double Dragon in 2025 is something that is very intriguing. The fact that it's going to be on multiple game systems shows that Arc System Works is very confident that this upcoming game is something that is going to appeal to multiple gamers despite their age or what have you. And um, and for the most part, I do feel that Double Dragon 2025 is a game that's going to appeal to a niche audience, but who knows? It might exceed our expectations. It might break 1 mil, 2 mil if marketed right, and if there's something like added to it that we haven't seen in the previous entries that enhances the overall quality of the game. But as far as like the details are concerned for the reboot, like in terms of the story and what new features will be in this upcoming game that was in the previous games, I have no idea. But hopefully, we'll learn more about the Double Dragon reboot before the end of 2024.